you.
You got it, guys.
We've seen some high-profile tech deals so far this year with the big Walmart acquisition of Jet.com this week. Jason Calacanis joins us now. He's the founder and CEO of Inside.com, an investor in Uber, and he has some ideas about who could get snapped up next. But Jason, first, what's so interesting about this deal is Jet was out in the market trying to raise about $640 million. And this morning, Mark Lowry basically said money doesn't necessarily beget scale, and Walmart was offering both. Why not just take the deal?
Sure. Great companies are good companies. Are frequently sold, and great companies are bought. That's what we see in the Valley. And so, Jet's a good company. I'm not sure if they were trying to sell or not. A lot of times founders have a little bit of pride. They don't want to say they're trying to sell. They want to say they're trying to raise money, and that's a front they put up. In Jet's case, it's a very nascent business. And to get offered $3 billion for something that's only a couple of years old and really doesn't have a ton of traction, that's one of the reasons why founders will sell. It takes out all the risk. They get a huge payday. And that's probably what we saw in this case. In something like Dollar Shave Club for $1 billion from Unilever, and they had something like $200 million in revenue. That seems like, that was a great company. And that was bought. Unilever probably pursued them. So you're looking at two different types of M&A there, good and great companies.
And Jason, you list a few companies that you think could be on the block before long: Jawbone, Instacart, Twitter, Zenefits, Dropbox. I have to say, quite a few of those companies have had a bit of trouble lately. What about their situation makes you think they're more likely to get bought? Does somebody want them, or do you think they're more likely to take less than they might have in the past?
Yeah, those are all good companies, perhaps not great right now. And, timing is a key part of all this. If you look at some company like Dropbox, it was a fantastic company, printing money, and a lot of people invested at very high valuations. But, of course, Apple then figured out the cloud, and, Google and Microsoft figured out the cloud even before Apple did. And so who's left? Who needs to buy them? And I don't think there's somebody who needs to buy them. Jawbone has been out shopping. That was another high flyer. They did amazingly innovative products. But like hardware companies, you're only as good as your last version. And it's a pretty good warning sign for other people, for companies like Apple that make hardware. If you have a dud, and the Apple Watch seems like a dud to me, it's a big warning sign. And the upband, the wristband that Jawbone made, was just not as good as their speaker system. So a lot of those companies could be acqui-hired. They could be hired for their teams, and they could do well inside of other companies. So I think you'll see a lot of those companies get bought. But a lot of those companies get sold, but the companies getting bought is the more interesting list.
What is the sweet spot for deal size? Because we've seen a spate of deals in the few billion-dollar range where big conglomerates can say this is snack size for us. It's not a bet the ranch type deal. And then if it doesn't go well, they obviously have a little cover. But you say that if there were a big Pac-Man player out there that could swallow a Netflix or a Tesla or a Snapchat, that they'd be up for the taking. What tells you that there might even be willingness to sell by those companies?
Yeah, the reason why I think that we're entering a new era of M&A is because you have very big chip stacks by a group of companies: Facebook, Google, obviously Amazon, Microsoft, Cisco. These companies have large amounts of cash. The 6 companies I mentioned have $500 billion and $2.5 trillion in market cap. So they've gotten used to buying bigger and bigger things, and the bigger things they've bought have actually worked out. So this DFU strategy that a lot of large M&A companies have adopted, which is the don't frack it up strategy, is actually working. M&A used to be, you fire the founders, you take over the company, and you probably mess it up. Now you look at companies like Zappos, YouTube, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Oculus. These companies actually grew faster after they were purchased. That's a big difference. M&A is actually working now, so people are getting, especially people who have $100 million in the bank or $50 million, are getting more aggressive. And now you bring to the poker table a bunch of the traditional companies, and now I think you're going to have massive activity.
Well, you've certainly put a few provocative ideas out there for people to chew on. We'll see if anyone takes the bait, Jason. We'll see you soon.
Okay, cheers. Thanks for having me.
Jason Calacanis from Inside.com.